Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Read the Manual. Today we are looking at the Signal Blender from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Before we hop right into it, just want to remind you to subscribe, leave a like, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Alright, we have 5 scenarios to go through with this Signal Blender, and we're going to go ahead and just jump right into them to make sure we can get through them as quickly as possible. So, let's start taking a look at the Signal Blender. Scenario 1 is parallel effects. This is a pretty straightforward setup, and I think it's pretty common as well for the Signal Blender. Let's take a look at it right now. So right here, I have the Signal Blender set up, and my 2 parallel effects are the blooper and the mood directly beneath it. Mood is going into channel A, and blooper is going into channel B. The way the routing works for a parallel effect is as such. You have the instrument coming in to Signal Blender right there. Then we have the input of the mood and the output of the mood. So input goes to send A and the output goes to return A. Then for the blooper, our second effect, we have the input going to send B and the output going to return B. And then our output signal just goes out of the Signal Blender. So let's give a little example of what this is like. So we will first start by turning on the clean signal. Now we can hear the Telecaster sitting over here. Now, what we will do is turn on the mood, which is going into the A channel. And right now we have on a reverb, but I'm going to change that to a delay so it's a little bit more obvious. And we can adjust the amount of signal we have coming in by simply turning up this channel. Now we'll get more of the delay. Now we can turn on the blooper channel, and I have a loop all queued up here, and we can hear it. And of course, just like on channel A, we can adjust the volume here if it's not loud enough. Now on the blooper, I only have it set to about half, so I can obviously turn that up as well. Turn it all the way, and then just adjust it from the Signal Blender to wherever it needs to be. Now at the same time, we're still getting our clean signal and we're still getting the mood, but since this is parallel, you're going to get these individually instead of interacting together. So if I hit something on the guitar over here, better example, I'm going to record something into the blooper. I'll hit a note over here on the Telecaster, and then what will happen is you'll hear the delay of the mood, but then what will be recorded on the blooper will just be a normal sound, normal strum. So if I hit record, I'll just do a one shot. So you heard the delay, and then we should hear on here, as soon as this finishes, we will hear that one note we hit. This was a longer loop than I realized. There it is. And no delay because they're parallel. Hopefully that makes sense for scenario 1 parallel effects. Now I have to pull off the Signal Blender. Oh dear. I'm not looking forward to this. Okay, so the way this is set up is we have channel A, B, and then we have a clean. So the clean goes just from the input here to the output to the output. Then we have a separate channel A and a separate channel B. These two buttons are for phase correction. So if you turn on channel A and it's really quiet or it's making a kind of a weird phasey sound, you can simply press that button and it'll correct that. It'll invert it. So it's really easy to be able to fix any type of volume problems. Then we have 3 knobs, and these are purely just volume of each channel. So whatever is in send A or return A, it will affect that. Same with return B and then the clean as well. So you can get some volume correction here for whatever your input is, and volume correction for whatever's coming into either of those channels. Then you also have a courtesy output because this thing does not use very much power. So that allows you to, daisy chain another pedal off of this if it doesn't consume too much power either, which is very nice. And then 3 stomp switches to turn on each of the channels, and they are smart switches, so to speak, in that if it's off and you just press and hold, it'll automatically register as momentary bypass and will only be on while you press it until you let go. And then same with if you have it on already, you press and hold and it'll momentarily turn it off. So that's pretty nifty in my opinion. And that's it. That's the main layout. The graphic here helps visualize as well the setup and the way that the inner workings will route your audio signal. That's our layout. So now we're going into scenario 2, which is 3-to-1 mixing. So I have our pedal here on a little Metro 20, just so that it can be stabilized and be a little bit easier to mess with. What we're going to do in scenario 2 is bring in 3 instruments, be able to mix them with our knobs, and have 1 output. I have here 3 instruments. I have the Telecaster, I have this Korg synthesizer, hopefully you were able to see that, and then I have an OP1. Let's hook those up and try it out. Let's start out easy here. Let's start with the guitar. Guitar is instrument 1. Instrument 1 simply goes into the input, which means we're not setting anything to the sends because instrument 2 and instrument 3 came into the returns. What that means we will do is, in order to hear the guitar by itself, we will only turn on the clean. Now, I have no compressor running into the guitar or anything. We're just straight into the signal blender. So we'll have to probably crank it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's instrument 1. Now I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn these down just so we can make sure that we don't do anything weird. We're going to go to instrument 2, which is in the return A. Turn that sucker on, and we have the Korg here. Hopefully you can see this, and I'll turn it up, and hopefully we can get some sound. There we go. See? Nice. Great instrument sound there. Second instrument. All right, let's move on to our third instrument. So our third instrument is the OP1. Turn this sucker on. There we go. Proof that it's coming from this guy. So that's 3 to 1. So now let's try and get all of them going at once if possible. The keytar and the guitar are going to be difficult, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to leave this running, and then we'll turn on our other two and play something individually. There you have it. That's scenario 2. 3 instruments, and we're using the knobs and the stomp switches to turn on and off instruments and be able to manage their volume. Cool. Now we're on to scenario 3. So scenario 3 is basically the opposite of scenario 2. So scenario 2 was 3 individual inputs, 1 output. This is the reverse of that. 1 input and then 3 individual outputs. Now I'm going to try and do this the best I can so you can tell that this actually is going into 3 separate outputs. So what I've done is hooked up the keytar to my 1 input. All right, so that's coming in here. And then send A, so because it's the opposite of scenario 2, instead of putting our 1/4-inch jacks here into the returns, we're putting them into the sends because we're sending audio out. Let's think of it that way. What that means is send A should be, I think it's going to be your right ear. Send B should be your left ear. And then the normal output is going to be just a mono channel by itself. So that should sound like it's coming from both ears, even though it's only 1 channel. So I think I got all of our volume pretty much matched up too. So I'm just going to play and I'll turn on each of these. Also remember that with all of them turned off, you will get a true bypass. So you'll still hear a signal, and that's just coming out of this output without this one turned on. But as soon as I turn on A, we should hear just in our right ear. And that's it. We're no longer hearing this output because we're turned off. So we're hearing that. I'm going to turn it up a tiny bit. So now if I turn off A, turn on just B, we should hear it out of our left ear only. All right, and then again, if I turn on the normal output, the input output, we get a mono signal. Hopefully that translates well in the video. I'm going to do my best to make it pretty clear. And then if I turn all of them on, we get 3. That should just sound like stereo because without this one on, you get stereo. And then if I turn this on, it should just be a third mono signal. But that's scenario 3. 1 input and 3 outputs. All right, next. Scenario 4 is a clean boost. So you can use a signal blender as a clean boost, and I'm going to hook that up right now. We have the Korg here coming into the input. I have it right here. All you have to do to make it a clean boost, which this makes sense if you think about it, we're going to take our sends and route them to the returns. So we're just going to put a little patch cable right into our send, and then that's going to go right into the return as well. Oops, here we go. All right, send into return. And then we're going to do the same thing with channel B. So this is without anything on. We can turn on our input itself and do some level setting there. But then we can also turn these on and get louder. So then I can take this one. See, we had to use the phasing switch here. So here's the raw instrument by itself. And then what we can do is we could basically set like I'm going to try and set like 3 different levels of boosting. There you go. So then you could basically create 3 like gain stages almost just by using the signal blender. Pretty cool. That's the clean boost scenario number 4. Scenario 5. Scenario 5 is a parallel effects and a 2-to-1 mixer. So 2-to-1 meaning we have 2 instruments. So we still have our trusty Korg here. And now I've added in the OP1 down here. You can see that guy right here, and I'll just leave it right down here. You should be able to see it ticking away. We also added in the Charlie Brown. So this is a distortion overdrive effect. So I should be able to max this guy out so we can really hear it. I'm just guessing with these parameters, and that should get us all set up. So the way this should work is we have our Korg over here, and I'll pick that up in just a second. That can go into this effect. Then we have the OP1 down here. That's going to go into channel B, and that will simply go out, and then we'll have our clean signal for just kind of balancing things out. So if we turn on the clean, we can hear the Korg. Pick it up so you can hopefully see it. We'll give that a little boost. Now that's our clean channel. Clean. If we add this in, we get some nice distortion there, and then we also have the OP1. But then we can turn that off and then we can turn back on our second instrument whenever we want. We can also obviously take out the synth completely and just have our second instrument. So that is scenario 5, which is a parallel effect, which is our Charlie Brown, and 2 instruments, the Korg and the OP1. And that's all 5 of the scenarios. Of course, there's other ways that you can use this. I'm sure other people have come up with different ways to use it. If you've thought of a different way from these 5 scenarios to use it, leave a comment below and let me know what you've done with it so I can give it a try as well. And that's it for the Old Blood Noise Signal Blender. I hope that this video was helpful and that you were able to figure out a little bit more about how it works and some of the different ways you can use it. I think it's a great pedal, and I think it's super versatile. So thanks for watching so much, and I will see you in the next episode of Read the Manual. Bye.